because most of these people are not trained as to take care of very, very sick people. They did on-the-job training, so we need...
How many doctors do you have in this unit?
Yeah, we
only
have...
one doctor?
Doctors, clinical staff, nurses, and even the patients in these facilities are feeling the pinch of these constraints and thus calling for more efforts to remedy these situations. Despite some of the achievements registered in the health sector, it is obvious that more needs to be done if the Gambia is to attain an effective, efficient, and robust healthcare system, with hopes that with the First Lady's tour of these facilities, some of the constraints highlighted by health officials, if not all, will be addressed soonest. Aissatou Badiane Sarr, Grts.
Female executive professionals and leaders from across Africa have been seeking to broaden their networks and exploring ways of bettering the lot of the women folk. The 4th African Women in Leadership Conference kicked off on Wednesday. Mama J reports the conference theme is Africa Women Empowering for Action.
The annual conference seeks to harness and enhance the skills and potentials of women in leadership positions in Africa, as well as enlighten and encourage those aspiring women to leadership positions. The founder and the chief executive officer, African Women in Leadership Organization, Elisa Atai, noted that AULO is a non-profit making body that has a membership of women leaders from across the continent.
The topics for this year's edition are quite hard and were carefully selected to cover all aspects of the African women's life in relation to politics, education, finance, science, technology, and innovation, social health, and spiritual well-being.
The Director, Gender Directorate of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Tokozele Rezaider, recalled Vice President Jai Seidi's passionate words during the last Beijing Plus 15 conference that moments of declaration and commitments are over, noting that it is now time for action, a call officials say this conference is heading to. Madam Rezaider hailed Gambia government civil society relations, adding that the collaboration between the two partners is key.
This year's partnership with the African Women in Leadership Conference is a recognition that as a knowledge institution, we need such organizations to give us information, to enable us to define messages for policymakers that we ourselves in our ivory tower in Addis Ababa would probably not have. Therefore, such conferences do give us critical issues that we can share with member states. I want to acknowledge the work of Elisha and Edith in getting this initiative off the ground.
The Deputy Speaker and Chairperson of the National Women's Council, Honorable Fatumbai, deputized for the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Dr. Aja Aissatou Seidi, in delivering the keynote address.
With the Gambia, under the support and dynamism of His Excellency, in its show of demonstrable political commitment, has established an appropriate institutional and legislative framework to promote the well-being of women, men, and children.
Honorable Mbai highlighted the numerous interventions and policies formulated by government in empowering Gambian women.
Regarding the protection and promotion of the rights of Gambian women and children, government since the advent of the Second Republic has made significant inroads in the attainment of equality, equity, and the empowerment of women in line with international conventions and protocols, like the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and the Protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa.
Although significant gains have been registered in empowering Gambian women, challenges for gender inequality persistently exist, especially in access to and control over productive and financial resources. The 3-day conference will Friday honor African women who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavors. The women leaders from across the continent were entertained by the popular Kabakel and Kanyeleng groups. Mama J, GRTS.
The presiding judge in the trial of the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Justice Emmanuel Nkea, has deferred his ruling on the bail application by Defense Counsel Badu Conte to Monday, June 18th. The development came as the state filed an affidavit to oppose Defense Counsel Conte's bail application for his client. Modu Jallo reports.
The former Commissioner General of the beleaguered Gambia Revenue Authority, Bahari Sanyang, who has had his bail applications adjourned several times, this Friday again applied for bail before the Special Criminal Tribunal presided over by Justice Emmanuel Nkea. Mr. Sanyang is accused of neglect of official duty, perjury, making false and misleading statements, defraud of the government tax revenue, economic crimes, and uttering false documents. As head of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Sanyang and 3 others are accused of neglecting their official duties, thereby causing economic loss to the government of the Gambia of over $2.5 billion. When the case resumed this morning, the counsel for the accused, Badu S. Conte, applied to move an affidavit filed on the 11th of June, requesting bail for his client. Citing various sections of the Constitution and the Criminal Procedure Code, Conte urged the court to order the release of the defendant on bail pending the finalization of formal charges. There is a presumption that bail should be on the favor of the accused, because every accused person is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a court of law, Conte posited. He argued that the accused had been held since the 6th of June without bail, insisting that the charges against him are bailable. He said the accused had been working for the government for 38 years, has a family, and wouldn't therefore jump bail. If detained, he may not be at liberty to respond to the findings of the Tax Commission, he concluded. In reply, the Director of Public Prosecutions, S.H. Barkum, said the state has filed a counter affidavit opposing bail on the grounds that the offenses committed are very serious and the amount involved is too huge. Barkum said that the state intends to file charges as soon as possible, but would not give an exact date. The presiding judge, Justice Nkea, agreed with the state and therefore adjourned the case to Monday, the 18th of June for continuation. Meanwhile, Sanyang has been remanded in custody. Modu Jallo, GRTS.
Shareholders, officials, and customers of Standard Chartered Bank, the country's oldest commercial bank, recently gathered for the bank's annual general meeting. GRTS Samuel Ba was there and he now reports.
Standard Chartered Bank is one of the Gambia's oldest commercial banks and a member of the Universal Banking Group headquartered in London. The century-old bank recently held its 34th annual general meeting attended by bank officials and shareholders. The forum availed shareholders and members the opportunity to review the gains made as well as the challenges for the year under review in an interactive session. Richard Ahulu maintained that the bank remained disciplined in the execution of its strategy and delivered another year of successful results to its clientele. He pointed out that the bank's source of income remains well diversified between their 2 sources of income, mainly consumer and wholesale banking.
The year 2011 was not an easy one. The global financial crisis, which started in 2007, continued to unfold, with continuing uncertainties in the world economy. During the year, we saw significant reductions in interest rates, which affected our margins. We also had some flow-through of unexpected and significant costs, which also affected our bottom line. But despite these challenges, I'm pleased to report that we continued with our consistent performance and profitability.
Mamadou Senghor is the bank's chairman. He emphasized that the bank recently underwent an extensive national audit which is paying much dividend at board and management levels.
2011 was a challenging year from the perspective of the global economy, but we want to thank our government. Whilst there was turmoil in the global markets, the Gambian economy continued to be resilient and to be very healthy and productive for all sectors, including the financial sector. So we are delighted that we were able to register some very good results in the past year.
The bank's performance on revenue in 2011, according to the CEO